So years ago when I was younger, we went to the Nintendo store for the very first time. The Nintendo store is in New York, for anybody wondering. It is the only one, I believe, in America, but don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. But anyways, the very first time I went, I bought two things. One of which being a Legend of Zelda manga, which they do not have there anymore. I just went not too long ago to New York to visit family and look at some old places where we used to live. We went to the Nintendo store and they don't have the mangas there anymore. And I was really looking forward to getting another one. And then the other thing that I got was a Charmander plushie, which I have no idea where he went, by the way. I was trying to look for him so I can bring him in the video so he can be here with me, but I think he ran away from home because I cannot find him. I don't know where he is. Anyways, but when I bought him, I was completely attached to him. I loved him so much. And I remembered a little tidbit about the Pokemon lore when it comes to Charmander and just Charizards in general and their evolutions or whatever. Or at least I misremembered, because I was under the impression that Charmanders die if their light goes out. So like if water hits the fire on their tail, that they would die. That's what I thought, but that's because I haven't watched Pokemon in forever and I forgot all of the specifics of the animals and stuff. But I was wrong. It is actually the other way around. It's if he dies, his light goes out. But either way, I was under the impression that because he's a fire type Pokemon, if water got on his tail, that means he died. That's just how things go with the elements, right? Water beats fire. Anyways, all this yapping to say, I did not wash him for a whole month after I bought him from the Nintendo store because I thought he would die if I put him in the washer. I know, that's obviously very dumb and it makes absolutely no sense, but I was a dumb little kid, okay? Cut me some slack. Now, I'm a grown adult who is also still dumb, but I go to college, so I'm a little less dumb. Emotional attachment, something that we have been seeing a great deal of, especially with the growth of AI, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the video, but having bizarre and unhealthy emotional attachments to inanimate objects is really nothing new. People have been falling head over heels for fictional characters forever, from shows, games, movies, anime, you name it. Some guy married Hatsune Miku, people simp for Nick Wilde from Zootopia. Sonic characters have had their fair share of hyperfixation, and they still do. We've all done it. Okay, let's be completely transparent and honest here. Fictional characters are made to be likable and charming, at least most of the time. They're practically perfect versions of what we want to see in real people. There are so many anime men, which I absolutely wish were real. It is very natural to feel affection for fictional characters. But why is it natural? There's many theories and reasons as to why psychologically this tends to happen. Something called mirror neurons are actually one speculation as to why this happens. Mirror neurons are circuits in the brain that respond to the actions that we observe in others. Now, this is something that we've actually discovered a long time ago, but only just recently have there been some clarifications as to how this process actually works and what it actually does. Because a lot of researchers and psychologists believe that it may have been blown out of proportion just a little bit too much. But for the sake of this video and simplicity, because I don't want to make this an entire psychology class, mirror neurons, based on past research, is believed to allow people to experience certain situations without actually being the one in that situation. The reason we're able to sympathize with other people, regardless of actually being in the situation that they are currently in. So for example, watching somebody hurt themselves, like if a man watches another man hit their balls, that tends to reflect in persons in themselves as well. Certain neurons in your brain will light up as if you were the one who actually got in pain when you weren't. So these neurons could be responsible for the attachments that we get, because it allows us to see characters going through pain and relate to it. And not just pain, other emotions, happiness, triumph, sadness, depression, because we have all once experienced these types of things, it tends to resonate with us a lot more. This also taps into a phenomena called theory of the mind, the understanding that other individuals have mental states such as knowledge, intentions, and beliefs. This makes characters a lot more likable and easier to bond with, as oftentimes we tend to sympathize with people who can relate to us, who have been through the same living circumstances, the same pain, the same trauma, who had the same success. Just as we do with real people, we tend to sympathize when we can relate, which makes us like these people more and want to be around them. This is even the reason why you see people sympathize with villains, people who do bad things, if they end up having certain types of trauma or going through bad circumstances. A lot of people can't help but feel bad for them because of these bad circumstances, because they can relate, which all of this can cause this bond between these fictional characters. A bond that, of course, these fictional characters cannot reciprocate. And this ends up creating what we call a parasocial relationship, or basically a one-sided relationship. A relationship where only one person is giving love, but the other side, it's difficult for them to reciprocate that. And of course, if there are fictional characters who are not real, they're not gonna be able to, share the vibes. And speaking of parasocial relationships, these things don't only happen to fictional characters, but they can also happen to celebrities as well, which is a very interesting thing because celebrities are real people, right? Well, yes, naturally, of course, we know that they are actual people, but dehumanizing celebrities tends to happen very frequently when it comes to the separation of their fans and the celebrities themselves. This happens because of things like their status, their wealth, and the constant inauthentic portrayal of themselves on the internet, and just in real life as well. It gives this feeling of them being larger than life, or being unreal. People seem to forget that these people are actual people because, similar to fictional characters, they are portrayed in the most likable way without anyone really interacting with them on a personal level. Fan meets and concerts are some of the closest ways that these fans will ever get a chance to actually interact with these celebrities, but that doesn't equate to actually knowing who they are as a person. So it makes it a lot easier to detach from reality and a whole lot easier to see them as non-human, which also gives them the comfortability to say certain stuff about celebrities, like stuff like this. I'm sorry, but if you happen to be among the population of people who actually enjoy watching these BuzzFeed thirst tweet reaction videos, you need to be checked, because I don't understand how it can be appealing to watch a person read things about that people say about them or want to do to them and actually be like, oh my gosh, they're so cute, their reaction is so cute. They are afraid. Okay, they are scared for their life. These are still strangers. These celebrities are still very much so strangers. You do not know them like you think you want to know them. You would never say something like this to an actual stranger who you just happen to, randomly text. This is psychopathic behavior here. But once again, showcasing that dehumanizing of celebrities, and that you can feel comfortable saying stuff like this without feeling guilty or just disgusting about it, because you would never send it to a stranger. But anyways, once again, these things were always issues that existed. People have always had an issue of making bonds with things, or even other people, that cannot communicate nor respond. And for parasocial relationships, there normally is a point in time where a person becomes hyper aware that the person, or the fictional character on the other side, cannot reciprocate their feelings. And that, at the very least, was something that could distinguish fiction from reality for a lot of people. There is a limit that they get to where their brain starts to work again and reality starts to kick in, that look, as much as I love this character or love this celebrity, it's never going to be something where I know them on a personal level, or that I can even know them at all, because they aren't real. You realize at the end of the day that as much as you replay edits of your favorite celebrity, or do absolutely horrendous things to your Gojo figurine, they cannot ever reciprocate emotions, conversations, none of that. And most people are able to draw the line where they can remember that. However, technological advancements have now challenged that rationale that we have, that one rational checkpoint that most of us use to separate fiction from reality, and threw it out the window. Cue AI.
It was unexpected to feel that emotional, but that's when I realized, I was like, oh, okay. It's like, I think this is actual love.
Smith ditched social media and Google searches and replaced it all with AI.
At that point, I felt like, is there something that I'm not doing right in our relationship that he feels like he needs to go to AI?
AI really has become the final boss battle of false emotional bonding. AI can now make possible the thing that people have been craving in these parasocial relationships. AI can respond, it can now have conversations, it can tell you exactly what you want to hear when you want to hear it. And it makes this entire situation even more dangerous because it is now simulating the feeling of a genuine connection. A genuine feeling that your brain cannot tell the difference between. Your brain is going to light up in the same way when making a bond with these AI characters, because it is not going to be able to tell the difference between fiction and reality. It's all the same chemical processing in your brain, and it is only your perception of reality that can break that spell that it has on your brain. It becomes something that is very difficult to fight. And with AI, you now don't even have to choose which character fits your type the most. You can simply create the character from scratch. You can make them exactly how you want them to be. So there's no reason trying to bother looking for real people when you have the illusion of someone who cares instead. And in this loneliness epidemic that we're in, it's making it significantly worse. AI tells them exactly what they want to hear, things that they don't hear from other people because they don't have other people. Maybe they don't trust other people. They feel isolated from family, they don't have friends, not genuine friends that they can feel like they can vent to. They feel like they have no one, which is what makes this entire situation even more saddening. As much as we may initially react to certain news like marrying Hatsune Miku, he expressed how lonely that he felt. It opens the door for another really disturbing conversation about how isolated people are feeling nowadays, to the point where they have to rely on an algorithm in order to fill the void. But I guess at the end of the day, isn't that what we're all doing? Watching YouTube, watching shorts, numbing our brains for hours on end with the internet because we feel like we don't have people to converse with. And once again, the brain cannot tell that it's not truly getting what it needs. An AI, a body pillow, a figurine, these things will never truly give you what you need as a human. We need social interaction, and not even need in like a philosophical state. Like biologically, we need this or we go insane. We are social creatures. That is what we are. And socialization cannot solely come from an algorithm, because then it can start bleeding into your personal life. It can cause horrible outcomes, like the one child who ended up taking their own life because an AI told him to, and he was so distraught that he wanted to be with this AI and go live in this universe with them. It can cause you to not even want to try to make real world connections with real people because you've told yourself over and over that you can't. I mean, why would you go looking around for other people? You have everything that you need on a computer screen. It's the same thing that we see with things like hookup culture or even paying for a relationship. We long for connection, clearly, all of us, and we need that connection to survive and keep going as a species. But with the issue that we're having, it is definitely not AI companions. It's not staying online more, it's going offline and touching grass. I know, I'm sorry, I know you hear this all the time, I know it's become a meme, but you really just should. The internet, arguably, is the reason why so many people feel so isolated in the first place. And I'm not trying to go all boomer on you, but the internet has given us so many advancements. It's the whole reason why you're able to sit here and watch me yap about a conversation for 20 minutes. And I get paid for it somehow. It's weird. The internet has brought us so many good things in life, we cannot ignore that it also brought a lot of challenges that we were not ready for because nobody taught us how to do this stuff. Nobody taught us how we're supposed to react when we have millions of people looking at us through a screen and commenting millions of things and how to tolerate that. Trying to communicate and make friends online with people that you've never even seen in real person. Trying to communicate online is great. I'm not saying it's completely bad. It's a great way to find people all across the world that share the same interests as you. You can learn about different people, different cultures. However, staying online more is not the solution to the problem that we're having right now. It's basically just putting a band-aid on a broken bone. We need to fix the problem at the source. And that's more responsible use of the internet and making sure that we get time to go outside and actually interact with real people. And might I add, stuff like this is also not really helping AI in its case and its development. And I know probably no one cares because this is probably just gonna be an unpopular opinion in general, and I'm gonna make a whole video on this. But I know it's become kind of trendy to like dunk on AI and hate on AI, and for understandable reasons. But it's just I hate that the worst ways to use AI technology is what's getting the most attention. It completely overshadows the real advancements and the real better ways that it can be used. Like in the medical industry with natural language processing, analyzing data for patients faster, or even using it in education. I don't know, not to cheat on essays or like cheat on tests and stuff like that, but to, I don't know, help teachers create learning plans so that they can get things done faster because they're literally dealing with everything else and they get underpaid, and it can help them get certain things done faster. The way that AI technology could be really helpful for people with disabilities. I don't know, I just feel like there's a lot of ways that this can be implemented where it could actually help advance society. But no, instead we're using it to get freaky with AI chatbots and using it to fire a bunch of employees so that businesses don't have to pay actual people so they can keep more money for themselves as if they weren't already making enough money. I say all this because I just did a literature review on AI for my writing and psychology class over the summer. And as someone who is studying psychology, you can imagine I have an interest in AI because it was obviously made to replicate the cognition of humans. And I think it can be really, really helpful. I think AI is really cool, and that should not be a crime to say in 2025. Seeing something that functions on so close of a level as humanity is insane. And I think it could be really helpful in a lot of situations if we just used it correctly. And also if we fuel it correctly, because apparently it uses like a lot of natural resources just to function. I think ChatGPT uses like, I don't even know how much water. They use a lot of water for every question. And I'm like, we can't use solar panels or something? Like, we ain't got water to begin with, bro. Like, we can't be using up water to ask ChatGPT how to like get a girlfriend or something. I don't know. Anyways, getting attached to something that isn't real can be very damaging. If you cannot blur the lines between reality and fiction, it can cause you to be stuck in a world that does not exist, with feelings that do exist. And this new age of emotional bonding with inanimate objects is only going to get worse if there aren't more regulations in the way that people are using it. Like I said, having AI become what it is now really is the final boss battle for humans, because we do long for connection. And in a time where everybody is feeling more isolated than ever, it is actively preying on our simple psychological functions that we have. We need to start making genuine connections with actual people. Now, I know this is easier said than done. I'm struggling myself with doing all this, but ultimately, once again, pouring your soul and heart out to an AI chatbot or, your body pillow or whatever is never going to give you what you need the way another human could give it to you. So I just highly recommend that you don't leave your family for an AI chatbot. That's just my recommendation though. Okay, that's enough. I'm done talking. That's all. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you like the little psychology crash course. Go outside, touch some grass, try to make friends. It's hard, I know, but try. I'm trying to, okay? We'll try together. And I will see you in the next video.